Hello everyone, Zellerant here, and for today's video on Umamusume, as Virgo Cup will be starting here in a couple days, I have finally finished off my aces for it, and like every Champions meetings, I like to kind of showcase the team that I have built for it, kind of my thoughts on why I built what I did, and what might be the strengths and the weaknesses when it comes to them competing as a team overall in the Champions meeting. So with that, we'll just go ahead and get right into it. So I've kind of had different thoughts on different Umas I was going to bring. I kind of changed my mind a couple times. And so it's a little bit different than if you haven't really been on to one of my streams lately. You might actually not know that I changed from using a late surger to actually now bringing 2 front runners and 1 pace chaser. Now I think everybody knows the obvious pace chaser that I'm bringing, and anybody that has her is probably going to be bringing her because she's very strong, and that's going to be a Taiki Shuttle. And then the other one that I was talking about way before we even knew about the skills on Uma that I liked the idea of using in future Champions meetings with Silent Suzuka with her runaway skill, or as used to be called, Great Escape. And with testing, she is working quite well. And then also, I was originally building a Majiro Ryan, and I was just not having fun trying to build her because I had originally built Parents earlier. But like I try and do, like right now I'm working on Libra Cup, and it was more focused towards front runners because before we knew the skill changes, front runners were going to be very, very strong on this Champions meeting. And so Majiro Ryan, I really didn't have strong enough parents to get to the numbers I'd like. And so I went with Summer Maruzensky. I had everything ready to go, and I was actually able to build a solid one in like literally one try after I did it. And so she's going to be going with us as well. We'll start with like what I'm going to consider my main ace, the one that I think is going to win the most of my races, and potentially be the one that carries me to the finals and hopefully win the finals. Taiki Shuttle. Now, Taiki Shuttle is the kind of seen as the top meta unit for this race, but with all the skill changes, it's no guarantee, even if you get her with crazy high stats, like we have seen some of the other ones where people get close to 100% win rates if they have monstrous stats. Now, my Taiki Shuttle came out pretty good here. I actually did not end up maxing her speed on this one, but 3 speed off is not that bad. But I did get her wit very, very high here. So that one's only 81 off from max. And then I was able to get power over that 900 threshold, which the 900 threshold is where you're going to get that speed bonus. If you remember Cancer Cup, it was stamina and guts that gave you it. And so this one, it's that 900 power over the extra speed. And you only, for being in a great mood, you only need like 800, I think, and 67 or 868 to actually achieve it for the finals, which is ultimately what's the most important. But we're way over that, so we're really good there. I did get my Mile S here. Now, when it comes to the skills, or when we look at stamina and guts, I had one that had died at like 607. And with that fear and not really having many other options on the skills, I actually decided to take standard distance just to kind of ensure she's not going to run out of stamina. I did have one test in an older one that only had 607 and a little bit lower guts that actually died on occasion. It wasn't all the time, but it died enough that I just wanted a little safety, and I took standard distance. Didn't really have anything else I could afford anyway with the skills. Now, when it comes to the skills, it's I didn't get everything that I'd like, but this has worked quite well, but it is a little bit more gambly. I know if you've watched some of the other YouTubers on what's really strong, I have found that getting in the front early race is more important than trying to pass mid-race with your skills. And so I really wanted to have like Uma Stan on her, and I did have that on one of them, and that alongside groundwork, if you could pull off groundwork, which I couldn't pull in this case. But I did have one that I do have a Taiki Shuttle that has groundwork. I don't know which one it is. This one has Uma Stan, does quite well. Is it this one? Yeah, this one has groundwork. But this one didn't have Mile S. This one can get in the lead and hold the lead so much easier than the other one, even with it not having as many golds. Just because once you're in the lead, then you're just trying to hold it. Once you start trying to pass, you have the problem of, if you're passing, sometimes they swing very, very wide. And I've seen her do that on occasion. Now, she is fast enough, does quite well enough that even when she swings wide, she most of the time can pass everybody except another Taiki Shuttle that was lucky enough to be on the inside. That's usually the one that beats her, or a late surger. that pulls off getting like let's pump some iron and all that combo. But with the gold, she does have a very strong mid game. If she does get out into the lead early game, she holds it like it's no problem. Sometimes she will over, depending on the front runners, which now one nice thing that I have 2 front runners is that if she's in the front of all the pace chasers, she has 2 front runners in front of her, my 2 guaranteed to be there. And so most of the time she's in third, but if she's popping these things off like crazy in the early mid race, which she sometimes does, she has actually just blown by some Maruzensky and sometimes even silent Suzuka as she gets to that line. And that gives the advantage to like another Taiki Shuttle that's actually in third place, the ability to blow by her and pass her because she doesn't get her alt off for Excel. Now she does have straight descent, which does kind of help with that a little bit. There's been occasions where this has been the lifesaver because I'm in second place. Then she pops this right at the perfect timing, or maybe a little late, or even a little early, and it does carry her through to finish the race. But all these skills, a very good, strong mid game. Tail held high, really nice, like to have it. It's just the early race that I really don't like. She just has Mile Maven, which every Taiki Shuttle is going to have, so it's not that much of an advantage. But I haven't really seen a lot of competitors Uma stand or groundwork built. But if you have that, so if you have that, you have a very strong Taiki Shuttle. But she does quite well, and I'm playing against tryhards. It's like the room matches are crazy. What we've seen with champions meetings, they're like significantly weaker in the past, and I'm going to fully expect to see the same thing again. They'll be stronger, of course, than prior champions meetings because of the Uni Cup, but I don't expect to see crazy numbers like I have been seeing. So that's Taiki Shuttle, probably going to be my most dominant one. Now, with my next Uma, that's going to be Silent Suzuka, and she's going to be using Runaway for this champions meeting. And so while I had talked about the idea of not actually using Runaway and using her as a true frontrunner, I have found she just works really, really good with the Runaway skill. And so this is the build I ended up getting with her. Not as strong as I'd like, but it does like meet all the requirements. When she's in a great mood, her power is enough power to actually get that extra speed boost, have 1200 with Mile S. Stamina, everybody talked about needing a ton of stamina. She does survive at least all the races that I do in tests where she's in a great mood. I haven't tested her being in a bad mood. That's just some of the RNG of going to be the champions meetings. I only care about the finals. I feel like I'm going to make the finals, so I plan around the finals and having a great mood for her. She survives easily. And I do have a little bit of coverage. I think I didn't need 777s on her for the stamina because I did take Hanshin race course. 777s was just to be like a last second to make sure because some of the numbers I've seen thrown around were 750. But I've heard some people say that she can survive with 650 as long as you don't have another runaway. If you have another runaway and they spot battle, which I've noticed happens, I'd say 3/4 of the time, they're both going to die. And if the other one has enough stamina to survive that, then they're not going to be fast enough because they're not going to have the stats to actually win the race, so it's not a big deal regardless. And so I do have the power for when she's in a great mood, like I said, get the speed boost, have as high of wit as I could get. And so the guts here, 605, helps out quite a bit as well. When it comes to the skills, runaway, of course, we have our other greens. You don't really even need greens with her build, especially if you're going the high wit route, if you're able to pull really high wit, because early lead, you really want the trigger. That counts. That's immediate as well. So you have early lead, runaway, and then you absolutely want concentration as well. Those 3 by themselves can activate groundwork, which is a must-have. So you can actually get away without having your greens, but I did take them anyway because more speed's always good. The Hanshin race course was to help top up her stamina. And so you have that. And then one thing I noticed is because there's like insane Umas out there with like really high wit, really high power because of the Unity Cup versus her, she is, in a lot of cases, I've noticed, at least in try-hard rooms, a long shot. And so when I'm in a try-hard room with really strong Umas, she gets an additional speed boost from this as well, which is, I see it triggering a lot of the time. So pretty nice right there. So that can give her the speed edge that she absolutely is going to need going into the end of the race to just maintain and potentially beat a Taiki Shuttle, which I've seen her do. Triple sevens, just a little bit there to top up her stamina. Probably didn't need it, but I just wanted to feel a little bit safer with her. She survives easily. So I probably could have went without this for another mid-range skill, because that's her biggest weakness, is she doesn't really have a mid-game. Professor of Curvature and Fast Paced, and then her alt are pretty much all that she has there. She does get angling off most races. If there's no other runaway, she almost, like, a majority of the time gets angling and scheming off. And then it just comes down to, did she have a wide enough gap to finish the race in the lead? Now, she actually does quite well at, once she gets the top speed, if she's in first place, she wins a good chunk of those. Because I've noticed her even racing side by side with my Taiki Shuttle. My Taiki Shuttle is barely faster than her. And most of the time it's because Longshot is just edging out to make up for that disadvantage she has versus the others with their speed. So she's won a decent amount of races, not a lot, but decent amount, enough times that I find that she is going to be good enough. She blocks other front runners like 90% of the time. So really, really nice. Actually, maybe more like 80 to 90, because I have to kind of count my own Summer Maruzensky in there. So works out pretty good. And actually, I forgot to show it to my Taiki Shuttle here first, but on the decks as well. This is a deck I use. I've whaled out for my cards. So yes, this is definitely not something you're going to be able to do with these cards, but there are good replacements. Just having the 2 speed, 3 wit, and Rico card like this has worked out phenomenally. I mean, if you have the rare one can work out. You just have, your stats will be a little bit lower on average with my roll that I had here. I didn't actually have the best sparks, which is where you can make up for it too with super strong sparks. Just wait till you see my Libra Cup parent or aces that I'm eventually going to be building, because these parents for the mile race were not strong. My Libra Cup parents are very strong, and I should be able to get crazy high stats on that one, especially with my whale deck. So these numbers I feel like are possible if you have decent parents and grandparents. I know most people are probably in a tough situation because of how short notice we got with the skill changes, and mine are weak because I had to rework them to make up for change the fact that I'm going to build a Taiki Shuttle, which I originally didn't plan. But that is my deck there. And then when it comes to Silent Suzuka, I think it might... Is it the exact same deck? I think it's the exact same deck, except Biko Pegasus and her are swapped. I really like one thing with Unity Cup is you do get a lot of skills just from popping bubbles, so you don't have to rely on the cards as much. Machikane Fuku Kataru is nice because she just gets you right-handed. So I expect to see right-handed on a lot of Umas for that extra 40 or even 60 speed boost. Fine Motion gives Fall Runner, so it's also, like, I feel like we're going to see a lot of strong Umas with both of these together. And that's why I'm hoping Long Shot that can kind of help top her up just enough to have enough speed to win against those paces and lates that come up behind her as she's pushing to try and win the race. But that is Silent Suzuka, and so now we take a look at the final Uma I built here, who is Summer Maruzensky, the winner of Leo Cup for me. I originally didn't... I wanted to build her originally before the skill changes, and after them I was like, maybe not. Then I just defaulted to her because I just didn't want... I did not like having to continuously run these Majiro Ryans trying to get those perfect stats. And I felt like it'd be safer if I build a strong Maruzensky. I had better parents for her just in general because I had worked on building frontrunner parents. And this is what I was actually able to get in like a single run, and I called it good enough. So I can focus on my Libra parents and now Libra aces because I feel like I could build very, very strong Umas for that one versus this one. And so I got pretty decent wit here. Got power, but man, one negative thing about her, she did not win the finals. And it kind of killed her power stats. She almost got to that 900 needed. It's okay. It works out good enough. She kind of acts like a... not only is she possible of winning, she does win a decent amount. If she is able to catch up and get up to my Silent Suzuka by the late race starting, she usually pops off and does win. She actually has a very good shot at winning because she has both Fall Runner right-handed. Not getting that speed boost here, but she does have max speed in Mile S. And a little bit lower in the stamina, but she has triple sevens because you need an energy skill for her alt. She uses that for her alt. Has high wit, so she does trigger most of her skills. Biggest downfall is she has a not a very strong mid game for catching and passing my Silent Suzuka, but she does do it enough times that she works pretty well. And she has two ways that she can kind of win. I went with the angling and scheming and nimble navigator position. If she's right on Silent Suzuka's tail, but she doesn't actively pass her right off the bat, and is right there, going into where they trigger angling and scheming, Nimble Navigator can sometimes activate. This will then push her to actually pass Silent Suzuka and then get angling right after. It doesn't happen very often, but it has happened, and then she just takes off, getting both of these at the same time. And it works out really well, and those ones she most of the time wins. But the other big thing I really liked with her, and one of the reasons I wanted to have her as a quick build, was Speed Eater. So Speed Eater works kind of like a buff, not only to her, but also my Taiki Shuttle and my Silent Suzuka. It slows everyone else down at moving them back a little bit. It's basically like another skill to help my Taiki Shuttle get into a better position. It helps widen the gap between everybody and my Silent Suzuka if Silent Suzuka gets the rod and pushes forward. And so it's just a nice little skill that's not only good for her, but everybody else. And so that's kind of the main thing with her. Nothing really crazy to her. Just try to get as high a stats as I could. This was literally a single run, and I just said, good enough. Because I was kind of tired of building aces at this point. I wanted to move on to Libra Cup because I felt so behind because of the skill changes. But I consider it good enough. She'll work, and we'll just have to see what happens. But that is my team going into it. So in a couple days, we'll see how well it works out. I fully expect to make it to the finals. And then it just comes down to whether I win or not. And I feel like it's going to be very RNG. That's one thing I've noticed. Very, very, very RNG, even more so than Cancer Cup was. But yeah, that is my aces for the Virgo Cup. Let me know in the comments what you'll be bringing and how good yours are looking, or if it was a struggle for you because of the skill changes and having to rebuild your parents. But that'll be it for now, and if you like my content, if you like, comment, subscribe, it really helps, and thanks for watching.